afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeanette, and I'm from the Consumer and Investor Office of the SC. Once again, we would like to welcome everyone to our Digital Literacy for Seniors program. Okay, the objective of this program this time around is to build your knowledge on effective shareholder board engagement and how to be a proficient shareholder at an e-AGM. Nevertheless, before we begin, on behalf of the SC, we wish to record our appreciation to higher seniors, Minority Shareholder Watch Group, MSWG, as well as Securities Services Sdn Bhd for their assistance in promoting this program. We are pleased to have with us today Mr. Devanesan Evanson, the CEO of MSWG, as well as Ms. Chua Siu Chuan, Managing Director of the Securities Services Sdn Bhd, and Ms. Yao Zimin, Executive Directors of Securities Services Sdn Bhd. Just to provide a bit of background on Mr. Deva, he is a qualified accountant who is also a chartered member of the Malaysian Institute of Accountants. He also holds a law degree from the University of London. He's a fellow member of the Institute of Internal Auditors Malaysia, FIIAM. Devanesan retired from Bursa Malaysia in 2010 after serving Bursa Malaysia for 18 years. He started his career at Bursa Malaysia as Head of Internal Audit and Risk Management. He was also at one time the Chief Regulatory Officer and later the Chief Marketing Operations Officer of Bursa Malaysia. Let's invite Mr. Deva first, then I will introduce our next two speakers just before their session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just try to get some slides on. Okay. Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'll share with you some of MSWG's thoughts on virtual AGMs and the kind of challenges that it poses to MSWG, and I'm sure to many of you all as shareholders, especially as retail and minority shareholders. Okay, when we talk about shareholder rights, okay, I think it's fundamental. We all know that as a shareholder, you're a part owner of the company. Even if you have one board lot of 100 shares or even one share, odd lot of one share, you are a part owner of the company and you have a right to raise questions. Actually, you have a right to raise questions throughout the year. You don't have to wait for the AGM. But the AGM is the formal, legal opportunity under the Companies Act, where the company has got no choice, where the board has got no choice but to address the shareholders' questions and comments and queries and displeasure and pleasure, whatever it is. So do make use of the opportunity that you have if you feel strongly enough about a particular issue as an owner of the company. Now, the fundamental rights of shareholders is provided under the Companies Act, and this includes the right to speak and vote at general meetings. Now, both this requirement to speak and to vote has now changed dramatically because of the virtual AGM. Now, to speak simply means in English to speak. As you know, cakap, tutur. So, but somehow because of virtual AGMs, many shareholders don't get to speak at a virtual AGM. So the phrase to speak has been interpreted to mean to be heard. Even to be heard is wrong because no one's going to hear you. Actually, to communicate through the chat box of the virtual AGM to the board. So if you have questions, we can't speak, we won't be heard, but our questions will be read by someone at the company. Of course, it's a different issue whether they answer or not our question. I'll cover that later. And voting at general meetings is also now virtual. And so all this posing questions through chat boxes virtually and voting virtually can be a bit of a challenge for people of my vintage, actually. They're not so familiar with all this technology, the devices, laptops, handphones, and how to access it. So I think this session is useful in the sense that it will give us some guidance. Always remember, we have a right as shareholders to appoint a proxy, And the shareholders can appoint anyone as proxy. Previously, there was a requirement that only, accountants and lawyers can be appointed as proxy, but now anyone can be appointed as a proxy. And the proxy need not be a chairman. Sometimes some people think that proxy means I must give my proxy to the chairman. No, you can give the proxy to anyone. And you can either leave it as an open proxy, that means that your proxy can decide how to vote, or you can vote, tick, and give the proxy form. Some of us may find it difficult to, physical AGMs to stand up and ask questions, or rather not difficult, uncomfortable. We can ask a proxy to attend and ask the difficult questions in the physical AGM. And likewise for a virtual AGM, we can appoint proxies. And point 4 is the right to request information. As I said earlier, you as a shareholder can ask for information anytime during the year. Bigger companies, better companies have a dedicated department called the Investor Relations. Okay, the Investor Relations set up to actually liaise with investors, to take on their questions and to answer the questions. Smaller companies maybe don't have investor relations, but even with investor relations, there have been complaints that shareholders' questions are not attended to by this so-called investor relations department. But do remember, you have a right to ask anytime. Right? And as I said earlier, the AGM is the formal legal platform. The company has got no choice but to hold the AGM, and many shareholders are becoming more and more active in holding the boards accountable at the AGM. Now, the challenges of virtual AGM compared to physical AGMs, we all know. I personally, we at MSWG prefer physical AGMs because many reasons. One is that we are able to better express our questions and comments because, you're using voice and words, you're articulating it, as opposed to typing in your question to the chat box. We get to use our tone of the voice, our body language. So it becomes so much more effective to ask questions at a physical AGM. Okay, virtual AGMs, of course, you're a very quick, fast typer. It's a bit of a challenge when you type in questions. It loses its oomph, as they say. Of course, virtual AGMs do have their advantages. More people can attend from remote locations. You don't have to travel to the physical venue. So both have their advantages and disadvantages. But I think our preference is to have physical AGMs once the pandemic is over. And why not follow the gold standard in the Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance? You know what's the gold standard? It's a hybrid AGM. Have a physical AGM, and for those who want to attend virtually, also allow for it. It's a bit more expensive because you're catering for two mediums. One is the physical and one is the virtual. But really, then that is true shareholder engagement. That is all about taking care of your shareholders. So we are great proponents of hybrid AGMs. If we can't have hybrid AGMs, at least we prefer physical AGMs. Of course, once all this pandemic is over. Question: What do you do when the company does not answer your questions at the AGM? Even MSWG, the one or two instances where we don't get our questions answered at the AGM is completely ignored. So what we'd like to advise is that maybe that's a reason why the company did not answer our question. Maybe it's a very operational question and they thought it was not relevant. Maybe for whatever reasons, the question did not come to the chairman. Remember, all questions are normally moderated by someone before it goes to the chairman. Maybe it didn't reach the chairman. So our advice is that do follow up with the board and the company secretary for a response after the AGM. Exhaust your avenue with the company and the COSEC. And then if you're still not satisfied, by all means, come to MSWG. You can write into the regulators, SC and Bursa, and we'll see what we can do about it. So you can inform MSWG. But what we like to advise is that, first and foremost, liaise with the board, the management, or the company secretary, or even the investor relations function. Try to get an answer why your question was not answered. Okay, and if you inform MSWG, okay, we will try our best. We will liaise with the company. Of course, sometimes, you have to be careful. We don't end up asking very operational questions, I know some AGMs like telco AGMs, some shareholders come and say, my bill for March was, 138 ringgit, but suddenly in April it became, 250 ringgit. Why? So these are valid concerns, but these are not the matter to be raised at the AGM. In fact, better companies, what they do, especially during physical AGMs, remember, they have a separate desk at the venue of the AGM where they handle operational matters of shareholders. Okay, so if you have a bill issue or a connection issue, you can go to that particular desk, they take the details and they try their best to resolve. So these are not actually matters for the AGM. So maybe sometimes questions are not answered because of this relevancy. Nevertheless, do get in touch with the company and the management to find out why. You have a right, you're part owner. We started on that premise, remember, number 1. So item 7, where the conduct of a general meeting is of concern, shareholders should also avail the remedies provided to them under the Companies Act. Of course, Companies Act has got section 346 and 347. Section 346 talks about oppression of minority shareholders' rights. But for section 346, for shareholders to use section 346, oppression of minority shareholders' right, that particular shareholder must have been oppressed more compared to all other shareholders. So I'll give a practical example. If let's say the board makes very bad decisions and the company loses a lot of money as a result of those decisions, you can't use section 346, oppression of minority shareholders' rights, because all shareholders have suffered the loss. But if the company says, shareholder A, you cannot do this, but allows all other shareholders to vote, for example, then shareholder A alone is oppressed compared to others. Okay, then you can bring an action under section 346. Section 347 is what they call derivative actions, where a group of shareholders or a shareholder brings an action on behalf of the company against the directors. So whatever this shareholder wins doesn't go to him, it goes back to the company. But needless to say, both section 346 and 347 will cost money and will take time. So it may not be very practical for retail shareholders, for example, you and me who hold 1 or 2 lots or even 10 lots, the time and the money may not be worth it. Okay, so always remember, we can walk away from that particular investment if we are unhappy. We can hold the board accountable, we can attend AGMs, we can raise questions, and if they're recalcitrant, you can always, there are over 900 PLCs listed on Bursa Malaysia. Okay, we don't have to torture ourselves and suffer the indignation of being ignored, or questions not being answered, or we're not happy with what's happening. So the ultimate, what they call market discipline, they call it market discipline. You as a shareholder can really sell your shares and go on, having exhausted all other avenues. So coming to engaging the board, physical AGMs and virtual AGMs, they are different and yet similar. Okay, some of the similarities are that our questions need to be clear, concise, and precise. Okay, physical AGMs are a bit more easier, I suppose, in the sense that you can stand up and ask your question in a clear, concise, and precise manner. But some have argued and say a virtual AGM is better for clear, concise, and precise questions because you get to type in. You have to type in. Typing in is an effort. Talking is sometimes, lesser of an effort. Because you have to type into the chat box, you are more careful about choosing the right words, making it concise and to the point. Okay, so it can work both ways, physical AGMs and virtual AGMs. The need is for our questions to be clear, concise, and precise. So as shareholders, we'll try our best, regardless of physical or virtual, to make our questions to the point. I know some of you may have attended those AGMs where some shareholders want to sing a song. Okay? A good chairman will not encourage it. A good chairman will say no. I was at one AGM where one shareholder wanted to sing a song, and the chairman allowed the shareholder to sing a song. It's fun and all that, but other shareholders are not there to listen to songs. They come for serious business. And I told the chairman, but the chairman said, never mind, he's an old man, and all that. Just an example to digress. AGMs are serious opportunities. Okay, it's a legal opportunity given to us to ask questions of the board, to hold the board accountable, to seek clarifications, the plans of the board going forward. Asking relevant questions, I did cover that earlier, like some are operational, like about bill related and all that. These are not really relevant questions. So, we'll try, as shareholders, we try to distinguish between what questions are relevant for an AGM and what questions are relevant, but not at an AGM, but to be directed to the company. As always, politeness helps, okay? Whether it's written or verbal, it's good to be polite. Then the company doesn't go on a defensive. Choice of words are very important. Some words can actually inflame, irritate, and bring about a negative, angry reaction. So choice of words become important. Again, the same, virtual and physical AGMs. Now, intonation is something that's very particular for physical AGMs. It's the way the tone of our voice, whether we raise our voice, we lower our voice, we speak fast, or we speak slow. So that's really for physical AGMs. Virtual AGMs, although I say all the above, but intonation is not that relevant. In fact, someone told me the virtual AGM intonation, how do you do it? When you type your question, certain words you put in caps and bold it. So that means as if you're shouting it, shouting the word. But generally what you'll find is, regardless of whether physical or virtual, the way we engage the board is quite similar. The AGM CG checklist is a 2-page document that was produced by the SC together with MSWG and IIC. IIC stands for the Institutional Investors Council, and in an effort to promote meaningful dialogue. So this is the checklist that was released, and do have a look at the checklist, because the checklist is all in point form. It's only 2 or 3 pages, remember, and they tell you how to prepare before you attend the AGM, what are the things to look at the AGM, what are the kind of questions to ask and all this. And the checklist can be downloaded from the SC website, and it's very readable. Do read it, it's helpful, it's guidance, and it's beneficial for retail and minority shareholders. Now, some of MSWG's observations at the AGMs we attended, again, as I mentioned, the first point is irrelevant questions. Okay, both physical we can hear. See, that's the point. In a physical AGM, we get to hear all the shareholders' questions. In a virtual AGM, we don't get to hear or even see all the other shareholders' questions. We strongly advocate that all PLCs at least publish the written questions on a real-time online basis on the laptop screens or handphone screens, so that all shareholders can see what are the questions being asked. And if someone says, oh, the questions are coming in too fast, we can't put it online real time, then stagger it. Shareholder activism is about all shareholders being able to hear all questions being asked, and all shareholders hearing the answers to all questions being asked, all questions asked. Okay, so that's something that we are advocating, because currently only the chairman looks at gets the questions, and the questions come in through a chat box. Someone in the company moderates the questions and sends the questions to the chairman. The chairman looks through the questions and then decides what he wants to answer. The other shareholders have no idea what are the questions asked by other shareholders. Of course, we all like gifts We all like vouchers, we all like door gifts, but that is not the main purpose of the AGM. In fact, almost always the first few questions at the AGM relate to door gifts or e-vouchers. As I said, it's good in the sense that we all like it, but yet we cannot be distracted by door gifts and e-vouchers to the business of the day, which is the agenda and the resolutions. So I won't hold it against anyone who likes gifts. I like gifts too. Directors not mingling at physical AGMs, this is something we noted. Some companies do it very well, where their directors actually mingle with the shareholders both before, during, when there's an adjournment for counting the votes, and even after the AGM. It's more personal, okay, in that sense. Of course, there are some AGMs directors don't mingle at all. They just come in on time, go to the stage, and as soon as the meeting is over, they disappear through a back door. Okay, it's better to engage and mingle with your shareholders. It makes the shareholders feel nice, and that's a message I always share with the board. Of course, that doesn't happen with a virtual AGM. I suppose technically you could still mingle in the sense that you could chit-chat before the AGM starts virtually, but it's just, I suppose, not practical or not done. Not answering shareholders' questions. Sometimes this happens. Now, this is a very naughty or maybe cheeky way. You ask one question, they give you an answer to some other question. Okay, so technically it's as if you asked a question and you got an answer, but the answer is not for that question. Now, this cannot go on in a physical AGM because the shareholder will just stand up at the microphone and refuse to sit down till he gets the answer to his question. Okay, the need for follow-up questions. This can be tricky with a virtual AGM because you ask a question, chairman gives an answer, but the answer is not to the question that you asked, so you have to retype. Once you start retyping, then someone may just feel that I've already answered yours and just ignore your follow-up questions. Yes, we have seen aggressive shareholders at AGMs. There's one AGM I attended where there's pushing and shoving and throwing of chairs and getting a bit violent. Okay, so of course you can't do that with a virtual AGM, except maybe type your question all in bold caps. And of course, aggressive shareholders, there are also aggressive directors. Sometimes we don't know who starts what. Sometimes when the shareholders become aggressive, the directors counter by being aggressive. Sometimes the directors are aggressive and the shareholders also react aggressively. I remember one AGM where we at MSWG were told that you only hold 100 shares. Why you want to ask so many questions? You only hold 100 shares because we are shareholders in the 330 PLCs that we monitor. We at MSWG monitor 330 PLCs and we buy shares, one board lot in each. That's when we have to stand up as shareholders, all of us, and say that no, we are still a shareholder and we have a right to ask a question. Not giving enough time for shareholder questions is easier to address this issue in a physical AGM because you can just stand up. And remember, in a physical AGM, most of the other shareholders will support you when you have a reasonable, relevant issue or question. So if I can stand up at a physical AGM and say, Chairman, you only gave us 10 minutes. And there are other shareholders who have questions. How can you adjourn the Q&A session? Chairman said, no, there's enough time. We have a long agenda. Then another shareholder will stand up and say, no, how can you say that? This is the once in a year legal, right to ask questions. So then, there's a lot of pressure on the board, and the board will more often than not allow an extended Q&A session. So in a virtual AGM, of course, it's a bit more difficult because there's no physical interaction. The shareholder is not in your face like in a physical AGM. Okay, those are some of the thoughts I wanted to share with you all, some comments, and I'll hand it over to Janet, and maybe later we can have a Q&A session. Janet?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Deva. It was a very informative session for everyone. Now, allow me to, and we will take some Q&A after the presentation by securities services. Okay, so I would like to introduce the two speakers from Securities Services. First is Ms. Chua Siu Chuan. Ms. Chua is a fellow of the Malaysian Association of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators since 1997. She has more than 40 years of experience in corporate secretarial practice with working knowledge across diverse range of industries, including banking, insurance, stockbroking, construction, property development, information technology, trading, manufacturing, plantation, mining, oil and gas, shipping, logistics, as well as hotel. As for our other speaker from Security Services, it will be Ms. Yao Zimin. Zimin has more than 10 years experience in corporate secretarial practice and is the company secretary of a number of listed and non-listed companies. She is responsible for the corporate secretarial compliance of her clients and advises the Board of Directors on compliances with the Companies Act 2016, Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad listing requirements and other relevant regulatory requirements, and best practices under the Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance. She is also experienced in advising her clients on various corporate exercises in relation to acquisitions, disposals, restructuring, bonus issues of shares, rights issues, takeover offers, and etc. And has conducted many evaluations on board effectiveness. As such, allow me to invite Ms. Chua and Ms. Yao to give their presentation.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Mr. Devanathan, for very enlightening sessions, even though I've heard it earlier. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. It's lunch hour now. Today, I will just walk you through briefly some basic about virtual meeting. We have gone through now almost a year with virtual meetings since the pandemic last year. And after that, Zimin will walk you through the detail of the SSEP platform of our virtual meeting. Actually, we have conducted more than 100 virtual AGMs and e-AGM last year alone. And many of you are probably very familiar over the 1 year. I know some of you are very common participants of our clients' AGMs, the PLC's AGMs over the 1 year. It's good that I see that you are getting more used to it and enjoying it. But today we'll try to share a little bit more and also to share with you that we have also and have always been constantly upgrading our SSEP platform to make it more friendly and also keep adding on and improving on more enhanced features to make the meeting more interactive, as real, like what Mr. Devas said, that it's like a physical meeting as close as possible. And I think in some point, Mr. Deva mentions that sometimes you take time to type and you lose out on in terms of catching up what's going on. Our system is everything on one page, so that, you know, the minute you voted, you come back to the page, and so then Zimin will walk through the detail with you. I also understand this is also a learning curve for all of us, not just you as retail shareholders, but also our client, the listed entities, the board, the management, us as a service provider, as well as regulators. All of us are learning and adapting to this change because of the pandemic. To me, it's a good move. We have been talking about having virtual meeting for a long time. If not for the pandemic, we wouldn't be forced into doing all this. And I'm sure you retail shareholders will probably be still finding your way, driving through the traffic to attend the physical meeting. So this is another way of attending meeting that we have to embrace it. So, you know, the board are equally nervous at the start of the meeting, and but it's a mindset change which we need to embrace and move forward from here. It's a development not just in Malaysia, but actually globally. So we have to enhance it, and after which we will be going through Q&A as well. We take some Q&As and the pop quiz. Okay, let's get started. All right, okay. The next things we will go through, we just go through some introductions, and then we will talk about the pre-meeting, what you need to do, prepare ahead of time, and so on. And on the day of the meeting, what to expect and how to move on from there. Okay, I just share a few slides. So the picture on the left is something that you're very familiar. We actually attend the meeting physically, you meet up with your friends, you do a catch up and so on, probably in a hotel or in some clients' PLC's venue, the actual meeting venue. The picture on the right is something that we'll move on, where you don't see, the board don't see anybody in the broadcast venue, but only essential person at the broadcast venue. Depending whether we are in MCO, CMCO, RMCO, the numbers and the changes, it will just go on according to what the regulators authority tell us to do. So you can see we have to adapt to this change on the right. Moving on. Okay, some of the common features that we will do before 2020, where we hold virtual AGM, as well as going forward. Like you need to find out where the meeting is going to be held, so the meeting venue, you know, and at the same time, you need to see whether you want to attend or you want to appoint a proxy. So these are things you need to plan ahead. And then assuming you want to attend or your proxy wants to attend, you'll be present at the meeting, you'll find your way there. And then at the meeting, you will have interactions with the board, the management of the company to learn more about the PLC. And of course, exercise your right, like Mr. Deva said, to vote and speak at the meeting. So these are the features that we will do at the physical. Similarly, it can be done in the virtual meeting, like what we have done in the last year. Okay, some basic introductions or some types of meeting. We talk about physical meeting where shareholders attend and vote physically, and there's no option for remote participation unless it's a hybrid, of course. In the fully virtual meeting where everybody will be participating at the meeting online, no shareholders are allowed to be physically present at the broadcast venue. And of course, in a hybrid meeting where you have a combination of both, where you're physically present as well as work remotely, like what Mr. Deva suggested, that could be the way forward. Of course, there are pros and cons in each of these type of meetings. It also depends on the cost structure, the size of the company, and so on. So the thing is, it is ever-changing current dynamics that we are in. So it's a necessity as we progress, like I say, from MCO, CMCO, RMCO, and so on. And we have gone back, in fact, from RMCO to CMCO. So situation is fluid. As now we know we have over 1,000 of new cases reported on the daily basis. So I reckon that this virtual meeting probably will continue for a little while. And hopefully when things settle, we can go back to physical or even hybrid meeting. Okay, so in short, there's a need to get abreast of the latest development. Our board and management are also doing that, meeting fixed already, and then we need to make sure that the place where we are holding the meeting, it is not suddenly changed to be a enhanced CMO, MCO, or things like become a CMCO and things like that. So it's important that we, as retail shareholder as well, keep update on the latest, okay, because things may change suddenly. Right, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so some of the common terms that we use in e-AGMs or virtual meetings is like broadcast venue. It's no longer the physical venue, but broadcast venues where the essential people will be present and they will broadcast whatever they need to tell or do during the meeting at this broadcast venue. And there's a new terms that come about, admin guide or administrative guide. I think most of the service providers are using this as admin guide or something like that. And this is where you tell you what exactly you need to do before the meeting as well as during the meeting. So this guide, and over time you realize the guide initially first started was quite long. Over time it's become simpler and simpler, and also you're getting more familiar with it. For security services, it is SSEP. It is Security Services e-portal. It's a secure platform. So don't worry, your information is secure. Secure platform for shareholders and proxy to participate in this virtual meeting and also exercise your vote as a shareholders at this meeting. So let's move on to some other common terms in the virtual meeting, like sign up, register as a user. Understand most people have this thing. Zimi will walk you through the step-by-step on how to register as user if you are not already a user of SSEP. And this is a one-time setup. Okay, it's just like your internet banking where you probably are already quite familiar since online banking has been there for a while, you had to first have it registered as an online banking customers of the bank. And after that, once you log in, you have to do different functions, whether you transfer fund, whether you pay money or you pay your bills or things like that. It's something similar to that nature. So once you're registered with SSEP with security services, the data is secured in our website. And next time when we participate in a meeting, for example, if you are a shareholder of A Berhad PLC and you want to participate, just go on and register your interest to attend the meeting. So the part will be just to register to participate. But we want to remind you that even though you're a registered user of the SSEP, you still need to register for each of those listed PLC's AGM or e-AGM. That is to, it's like you are going to the meeting to register your interest that you want to join this particular meeting. And of course, you must be, your name must appear in the GMROD, the record of depositors, at the close before the meeting. If you have sold your share, of course you can't, right? And of course, if you bought your share too late, too close to the meeting day, you also can't, right? And the other part is we have under SSEP is e-proxies. You can submit your proxy form for whatever reason that you choose, that you don't want to attend this meeting, you can submit your proxy form, and there's an e-proxy service there. You can, of course, it's subject to the client taking every service of ours. You can submit your proxy form electronically without having to send your hard copy to the registered office of the company or wherever they receive the proxy form. You can don't have to go and pay your postage or envelope, whatever, go to post office. You can actually do everything in the comfort of your home by just submitting the e-proxy form. And it's very simple steps, which we will show you later on. Okay, e-live access. This is some of the common features. It's an access to the live streaming or the e-AGM online via SSEP, right? And then once you go online in the e-live access, you want to ask questions. When in the past you raise your hand and then you ask your questions, or go to the mic and ask your question in the physical meeting. Here, it is quite not practical to have everybody voice their question. Hence, SE has allowed type text, okay, where you can type in your question, submit to the board or the management of the company, where they can respond to you on the spot. I understand there are some concern. I think Mr. Deva mentioned that sometimes you are a bit slow in typing and therefore you cannot catch up with the proceeding of the meeting. One suggestion is prepare ahead, type your question. You can save it somewhere and cut and paste it there and then. And that will save you some time, because if you plan ahead, then you save some time instead of typing on the spot, right? And of course, once you attend the meeting, the other key factor is that you want to vote. So the e-voting features is also in there. Okay, let's see what are the things that you can use or devices that you can use to participate in the meeting. You see the picture on the left. Any of these, it could be your mobile or handphone, it could be your PC, laptops, or your smart devices. Any of those can actually be used to attend the meeting. And the best browsers are these on the right. You can see the best view. I think the latest version of any of these, it can work perfectly well with our system, and I believe in many other service providers as well. And try to use the latest version. And if you're not familiar, test it ahead before the day of the meeting. Get yourself familiar with it. Seek your assistance from your family members, children, grandchildren, or if not, call us. Our team are always ready to help you to go around how to register and move about on that. Let's move on. So this is what you will see, in case you need any assistance. You can see on the left corner there, if you need any assistance, e-services assistant. If you encounter any problem, you can email to us. Our team will then respond to you. Or the other way, if you don't want to write the email or email to us, just give us a call. The number is there, 2084-9000, and we will attend to whatever assistance you require. All right. Let's move on. So pre-AGM, before the meeting, e-AGM. So some of the things that you in the past we used to receive, like maybe a copy of the report, Now I believe we don't send, or most companies don't send, I think for quite some time now. You can get soft copy, e-copy. But assuming you like the whole piece of paper and you want to feel it, you can always request for it, okay? So annual reports, circulars, things that you will probably require to look at, like notice of the meeting, AGM, things like that. Or admin guide, you need to know how to move about the gate to attend the meeting, this virtual meeting. So you can go email or ask copy. Other than the device ready, you want to get the meeting ready, material ready, you can also request for all this. Check out the details in the notice, whether it's a physical, virtual, or where and how to go. Very important also to read the admin guide carefully. I understand the admin guide is now simpler. It's most of them is just 1 pager or 2 pager at most. Of course, in the past, it was much longer. And then some service provider guide may be slightly different, but generally they all tell almost the same information. Okay, where to obtain a copy if you like hard copy? Copy of the notice, the reports, or circulars. You can actually simply go to Bersah. Bersah has everything in the website. Just log on to Bersah, or go to security services. We also can provide for those that we are providing the services, or simply go to the company that you have invested, where you are shareholders. You go onto their website and get those information online, right? Okay, so this is where the Bersah one, Bersah website on the left-hand side. If you want, you can take it down. The step 1, try the Bersah website, or look at the announcement, click the announcement page. And then after that, the 3rd and 4th and 5th step is to just click annual report under category, select the company that you would like to have the information, and simply click search. You should be able to get the information you want, right? Alternatively, just come to security services. Okay, sshsb.com.my. Click this first step, and again, the step-by-step guide will show you the next slide. From here, you will see this page, and you just click e-services on the left and request whatever report you want. And we will send a hard copy to you, or even a soft copy to you as well. Right, this is just to show you how it works. You see the notice of the meeting. This is an example. Important to know is a fully virtual meeting, as well as the time, the date. And usually try to bold it. We actually try to bold it so that it's easier for us to see. Right, let's move on. Okay, some guides, okay, to guide you on how to go about an AGM. You first have to sign up as a user for SSEP. Okay, you can see on the right, this is a simple 1-pager with a flow chart that actually guide you through just a few pointers here and there. So once you're registered remote participation, and then you choose to submit the proxy form, so B or C, then you, on the day of the meeting, you just join the e-live, right? And then you're happy, ask a question, type text, question, and so on. And you can go on to e-voting, everything on 1 page. So it's a simple graphic admin guide to guide you through how to participate in the meeting, all right? I hope you still find it useful and you're still with me now. Okay, so go into the bit more detail on the next step, right? On how to walk you through to sign up as a user of Security Services SSEP. Zimin will walk you through in brief on the step-by-step on how to register as a user. Okay, and we also will be sharing with you some of the FAQs that we have received from our shareholders that share with you, so you have an idea. Maybe you have similar questions. Hopefully those will answer your questions. So thank you. And I will now hand over to Zimin. Thank you.
Thank you, Siew Chuan. Okay, thank you for sharing the beginning of our presentation on virtual AGM, guiding you through how it was in the past before the pandemic and how it is actually done now. Okay, most of the listed companies, they do like to hold virtual AGMs now. Okay, let me bring about my slides. Okay. Okay. So over here, okay, I will first guide you through what you need to look out for, okay, before the meeting, right? As Sichuan mentioned earlier, okay, the listed company will send to you via either email notification or hard copy. Sometimes some still do if you don't have your emails registered together with your CDS account with Bursa Depository. Listed companies will still send you the hard copies in some form. Even if they don't send the whole entire annual report, they would definitely still notify you by post in some way. Of course, if you have email addresses, some listed companies will opt to email you as well. Okay. Now, inside your post or your email, you would receive things like the annual report or just a notice, or sometimes the whole notice of AGM as well with the proxy form. Now, with virtual meetings, a lot of times they also come together with what we call the administrative guide. In short, the admin guide. Okay, now it comes in various terminologies depending on who is the facilitator of the e-AGM. So if it is hosted by us on Security Services e-portal, and that's what SSHSB stands for. I understand there is a question on this earlier. Okay, you will receive an admin guide, about say 3-page admin guide generally. And the first page was like what Sichuan had showed you, where we had the flow. Okay, this flow here that you see. Okay, so this is a one-page snapshot, so you have an idea what you need to do. Okay, let me go through in detail. Okay, I'll guide you through this admin guide. Okay, now first, in order to access SSHSB, or sometimes we also call our e-portal, right, you need to sign up as a user. Okay, now when you sign up as a user, what you are basically doing is allowing us to identify you as the individual whom you are, right? And that is why when you sign up, we do request for certain details like your name, a mobile number so we can contact you in case of anything, and also to authenticate your identification, we do request for some form of ID to be uploaded, which we only use for the purpose of verification. After that, we will delete, we do not keep it. Okay, so if you don't have a user account, you won't be able to access SSHSB. So the most important step is to first register or sign up user account. It's free of charge. It's very easy. I will also show you the screenshots of how to go through so that you are familiar what you expect to see. Okay, after you've signed up for a user account, okay, we will take 1 working day to verify your identity. And after which we will send you a notification email. Okay, and then from there, you need to verify your user account within 7 days. So do look out for this notification email, okay, and do the verification, because if you don't verify within 7 days, we don't keep the data inside. You will need to go through the registration process or the sign up process again, right? So now, let's say, assuming you have already gotten your user account at SSHSB, and you have received a notice to attend an e-AGM conducted through SSHSB, right? And you wish to attend the meeting, you can refer to section B, which is to guide you on the registration for the e-AGM itself. Now, this is different from step A, which is the sign up. The sign up is a one-time process. Now, if you've already got a user account, you don't have to sign up again, right? This is for you to actually log into the portal. Okay, but for the e-AGM, for each e-AGM or e-EGM for some companies, okay, you need to do the registration for each of them. Yeah, it is not like when you received the notice and your name is inside there, you would be granted automatic access. No, you still need to register your interest. It's very similar, I think, to when you are attending a physical meeting. You would also come to the registration counter and show the share registrar your ID. In fact, I think in the past for physical meetings, each time you need to show your ID and do a verification. But for our portal, you only do the verification of your identity once. Subsequently, whatever AGMs or EGMs that we host virtually, you can actually go into register your participation, okay? So the step-by-step process is actually in the admin guide, okay? And I will show you later as well. Now, let's say if you cannot attend the e-AGM or e-EGM, for example, okay, you can appoint a proxy, yeah? Just as what Mr. Davis was saying, you can actually appoint anyone to be your proxy. Actually, it does not have to be a member. It doesn't have to be someone with a qualification like in the past. And it is not necessary to appoint the chairman. Of course, when you appoint your proxy and it's not the chairman, you need to also remind your proxy to participate in the meeting as well. If not, your votes, won't be submitted. Okay, so now with the proxy forms, okay, a lot of companies have this option to submit e-proxy. So this saves you the trouble of going to the office of the registrar or the listed company to deposit a hard copy proxy form. It also saves you the hassle and cost of posting. Sometimes things get lost in post as well, or they is not received in good time. As you know, generally proxy forms have to be submitted 48 hours before the start of the meeting. And all these details will be clearly spelled out in the admin guide as well. Okay, now if you want to do a submission of e-proxy form, you can do that as well. Within our e-portal, the e-proxy form submission step-by-step is very, very much similar to the hard copy, okay, whereby you put in your name, CDS account number, you put in the names and ID of your proxies, assuming if you are not appointing chairman, okay, and then you also insert the proportion of shares that you wish for each of your proxy to represent. Okay, Now, of course, important when we have a fully virtual AGM, okay, your proxy can only participate virtually, right? Now, your proxy do not need to register for the meeting, okay? But your proxy needs to ensure that he or she has a user account at SSHSB before the stated deadline, so that we can, give that person, your proxy, access to the meeting automatically if you are an eligible shareholder. Meaning, just like what Siu Chuan mentioned, your name must appear in the general meeting record of depositors, or in short, the GMROD that is set by the listed company for that particular meeting. Okay, so again, to register as a user, okay, they can refer to step A and you can guide them as well. Okay, so now on the day of the meeting, what do you do? Now, inside our admin guide, we also provide detailed guidance. Now, of course, the first thing, all of you would have a user account already. You then join the live stream meeting first, or if you don't want to, you can actually straight away go and do the voting remotely, assuming you have no questions to ask the board or the management. So first, you log in with your registered email address and password. Now, these were actually set by you. Okay, of course, if you don't remember anymore your password, I will also guide you later on how you can reset your password if you have forgotten your password. Okay, and when you go into this live stream meeting, now there is an access time, right? If the meeting starts at 10 o'clock, okay, the listed company may have the access, access open, say 15 to 30 minutes before the meeting. And that's when you can then access the meeting and you can test your connection. We do advise you to test this earlier and to get everything ready earlier. And in case you encounter any technical issues, you can always give us a call. I will show you also later within our portal. At the bottom of every page of our portal, our number or our email is there, so you can reach out to us if you have got any issues at all. Okay, so now when it comes to voting, generally voting is open from the start of the meeting. Now again, this very much depends on the listed company, and details on this are also available in the admin guide when we open the e-voting access. So let's say if you don't want to join the live stream meeting or ask questions, you can go straight ahead to vote, okay, and log out, and it is done. Okay, so now let me show you screenshot, okay, one by one of what you will expect to see. Now, if you were to click our website address, our e-portal access link here, okay, or you can even type it in, it's not very long, sshsb.net.my, okay, you will first, of course, need to register and sign up or sign up as a user. You see it over here, okay? Sign up or register. We'll then come to this page. Now, assuming you are a Malaysian, okay, you will put in your full name, your IC number, okay, OIC if you are still using it, your mobile number so that there is an avenue for us to contact you in case of anything. Important, this is your email address, okay? Now, this is also your login, okay? Your user ID, some of you may call it, okay? Is your registered email address. Some of you may have one email address, some of you may have more. Just remember which one you actually registered with, okay? And then put in your own password, okay? Of course, there will be some conditions. And when you go to our website, it will guide you through to put in a strong password as well. And then you confirm your password here. Then you will also see this option towards the end of the screen to actually upload your IC, okay? Now, if you do this with your mobile phone, okay, you can actually easily just take a picture. It's an option for you to take a picture of your IC and just submit, okay? It's as easy as that. Of course, if you use a laptop, you may have to go through the process of scanning into your laptop first. So I would suggest that if you want to sign up a user account, best done with your mobile phone, okay? And then, of course, you need to agree to the terms and conditions of use and privacy policy and click submit here, okay? So I don't share those non-Malaysians, but if you are non-Malaysian anyhow, you can click this button here. It's very similar to all these entries here, except that you are going to be uploading your passport, right? Okay, so after you have submitted the application on the portal, you will receive a message like this. Okay, so we are reminding you also to check your email after 1 working day to do the verification process. Okay, now, okay, let's say you have a user account signed up with SSEP already, and you received your notice and admin guide to attend an e-AGM. So what do? Okay, you're going to participate at the meeting or you're going to appoint a proxy. Now, that's something you, of course, need to decide depending on your availability and what's convenient for you, okay? But both options are available, right? So let's say you want to participate in the meeting. You register for the e-AGM. As mentioned earlier, for each meeting, you need to register for the meeting, okay? Different from signing up as a user of the portal whereby you only do it one time. Okay, again, if you have forgotten your password, click here. We'll just guide you through a step, very easy step, put in your email address, and then you can then reset your password accordingly. You can check your email as well for this. Okay, so let's say you want to register for the meeting because you can attend and you want to attend the AGM, right? When you log into the portal, you will see a page that looks like this, okay? Right? You have all these events here, okay? And then my records, contact us. At the main page here, you will have a listing of all the company names whereby we are hosting the AGM and the name of the AGM, and depending on what you want to do. For example, if you can attend the AGM, you then register for the meeting. You click here. Okay, so when you click in here, you'll come to this page here as well. Okay. Now, the thing with our portal is, there are individual shareholders. Some shareholders are not individuals, but they are body corporates. And you may even be a corporate or authorized representative of a body corporate shareholder. So if you are, you don't have to worry. You don't have to submit hard copy proxy form. You can also do it through our portal. Okay. So if you're an individual, you click individual here. You agree to the terms and conditions. You click submit, and that's it. It will be inside our database. We will verify whether you are eligible against the GMROD as at the date set by the listed company. Generally, it's about 7 days, but it may vary depending on the company itself. Now, if you are a body representing a body corporate shareholder, no worries. You just have to click here, okay, and then do the same process. But of course, you need to insert the body corporate's name, the company number, and upload, say, for example, the certificate of appointment of corporate representative, because then this will allow us to know that you are actually the authorized rep for the body corporate shareholder. Okay, now what happens if you cannot attend the meeting? Okay, you then, of course, have the option to appoint a proxy. In the past, there's always this hard copy proxy forms. Now, this could be sent to you via mail, via email, or perhaps also sometimes, listed company will give you a link, okay, and in that link, or say the QR code, you will have access to the hard copy proxy form that you can print out at your own, your own place and then send it. Okay, that is the usual process. Now, a lot of companies do have this option for e-proxy form. Now, I say a lot, I don't say all, because there are still a few listed companies that don't have this option. And that's why sometimes we do get questions like, how come I don't see an option to submit my proxy form electronically? Okay, this really very much depends on the listed company and what's in their constitution as well. Okay, sometimes it is not consistent with the constitution and they don't provide for this avenue. Okay, generally, I see many do have this option now. Okay. Now, guiding you through the submission of the proxy form. Okay. Again, you log on to the e-portal. You look for the company name, look for the corporate exercise or event. I think you're looking at now here, the submission of proxy form. Okay. And of course, we have all the closing dates and times as well stipulated in the portal. You click here. Okay, go through the same process, whether you're going to submit this as an individual shareholder or a corporate representative of a body corporate. Again, if you're doing that, you need to, of course, upload some form of proof that you are the rep of the body corporate. Could it be the certificate of appointment of corp rep or power attorney or a letter of authorization, something that proves this. Okay. And then going to the next step within the e-portal, you then insert the CDS account number. Now, a shareholder could have one or more or many CDS account numbers. So unlike registration for the meeting, whereby we know if you, with your IC number, have 3 CDS account numbers, we'll pick all 3 up and all 3 would be included as registered. Okay. However, for proxy form, similar to your hard copy, you need to insert the CDS account number and you need to submit a proxy form for each CDS account. Okay, so if you've got 2 CDS accounts or 3 CDS accounts and you cannot attend and you want to appoint the same proxy or different proxies as well, it's up to you. Okay, you then put in separate proxy forms. Okay, whether hard copy or e-proxy forms if it's available. Okay, important, you need to put in the proxy's information. The proxy's ID is very crucial. Okay, so ensure that you get the ID correct. Okay, because we will grant access to your proxy based on his ID. Yeah. Okay, for example, the IC number. And then, of course, you have the option to also cast your votes. So if you want your proxy to actually submit votes and cast votes according to your discretion, you have to indicate this inside your proxy form. If you leave this empty, the proxy is going to have this his own discretion to vote as he wishes. Okay, of course, it is between you and your proxy how you can communicate with your proxy on this. Then, of course, you can review and confirm your proxy form details before you submit the proxy form electronically. Okay. So again, important, you need to tell your proxy to be a registered user of the portal. Okay, proxies need not register for the e-AGM. We will grant proxies automatic access once he is a user of SSEP, provided he must be a user, and when you put in your proxy form, his IC number or his passport number is correct. Okay, so this is something you need to tell your proxy. I think I like to put it this way, for example. Yeah, you would have, if you have a physical meeting, you would have told your proxy to, go to the meeting venue. Same thing, you need to tell them to access SSEP and be a user. So on the meeting day, okay, we have the broadcast venue. Now, nobody is in the broadcast venue except for the chairman and the essential persons. Okay, so you will be in the comfort of your home, okay, accessing and logging on to the meeting, right? So everybody else will be at the broadcast venue, and we will keep it to a small numbers as well. Okay. So on the meeting day, it's important to keep yourselves prepared. Okay. Check what is the e-live access date. Okay, you refer to the admin guide as well, right? Get your device charged earlier, right? Okay, and then also make sure that the venue that you are in has a strong internet connection, because that will then determine the quality of your experience in the e-AGM. And of course, also check your device auto setting. Yeah, make sure it's not muted. Make sure that it's on. Listen. Okay, and be prepared. Once you're prepared with all this, okay, you log into the portal again. Now, if you are an eligible shareholder, we would have notified you in an email, and you would then, when the meeting access time starts, let's say at 9:30, you would already see this inside the portal. Okay, other people won't see this. This is only for you if you're registered and you are eligible. You log into this. When you log into this, of course, you will go through a page first to confirm that you agree to the terms and conditions of use. And then it will bring you to this page here. Okay, when the meeting starts, you won't see the board, or whether when the meeting access opens, okay, you won't see the board. Okay, you may see some videos first. Okay, you will see the board when the meeting time, during the meeting time. Okay, and this is typically what you see. Okay, and you can click this button here to enlarge the live stream player on your device if you want to see it. View is bigger. Okay, you can even do it full screen by clicking the button here as well. Okay, and if you've got any questions, from the moment you can access the meeting, you can already start to type in your questions and submit them here. Okay, each submission is limited to 500 characters. Now, 500 characters is already a lot. Okay, you've prepared the questions, you can just copy and paste into this text box here. Right now, when the e-voting is open, usually this opens at the start of the meeting, or depending on the listed company, they may start a little bit later. Okay, you will have this option to proceed to vote. Okay, you can go into vote first and come back to the live webcast. It's entirely up to you. So if you do that, it will straight away bring you to this page. Okay, there's a one page, okay, and you just have to click whether or not you are for the resolution, against, or you wish to abstain. If you are voting for the resolution for all, okay, voting for all the resolutions, you can just click this button, and then all the radio buttons will be populated, and you just have to click submit at the bottom here. Okay, of course, again, you need to acknowledge that you agree to the terms and conditions of use and privacy policy. So after you've clicked submit, okay, the meeting is still ongoing, okay, you will be redirected to the live stream player. Okay, and so now you've voted, and it will be shown here that you have actually voted, and you can go on to participate in the meeting, in the live broadcast, as well as submit your questions. So let me go through perhaps some of the frequently asked questions that we have encountered in the past year since we started this e-AGM, right? One of them is, why did I not receive the user sign up verification email? Now, I think it's important to also check your junk mail or folder of your registered email address, because sometimes it does go there, right? Depending on the settings inside your mail account. So if you still don't see it, of course, you can also contact us at SSE Solutions. Our number is 03-2084-9000, or you can email us at eservices@sshsb.com.my for assistance. Okay. Now, another frequently asked question is that the e-AGM is in 2 days' time, but I have not received any email to confirm my access to the meeting. Okay, now we need to highlight that we usually only email this after we have processed all the proxy forms. And as I mentioned earlier, generally the closing of proxy form submission is 48 hours before the meeting. So you need to check your junk mail or folder also to also check that you have received this. But don't expect this too early. It's usually say a day or two before the meeting. Yeah, but rest assured, once you've submitted your registration, and you can also check from the portal. Okay, or you can also call us. It's already there. You just need to give us time to do the verification. Okay, so now why can't I access the web link? Web link meaning, you know, our e-portal web link, which is sshsb.net.my. Okay, we don't use any app. It's as simple as using a website address. Now you just need to ensure that, of course, the website address is correct. Yeah, sometimes missing one dot, missing one alphabet, it also affects your access to the web link. Okay, make sure you have a good internet connection, and also ensure that you're using the latest web browsers. Okay, we can actually assist you, or you can get somebody to assist you to ensure you've got the latest version to actually ensure you've got the best viewing experience. So like I mentioned earlier, what happens if you forgot your login credentials? Again, you go to the forget password at our homepage, and you will be able to go through the processes to get the password reset. Okay. Now, this is another frequently asked questions on why can't I see the access to the meeting? So like I mentioned earlier, okay, the access to the meeting will only be there when at the e-live access time. It's usually 15 to 30 minutes before the meeting starts. So you have to refer to the admin guide as well. Of course, if you are not an eligible shareholder, meaning your name is not in the GMROD, you won't be able to see it as well. And we would have notified you as well in an email. Of course, again, if you've got any questions or you've got any issues, encounter any technicalities, feel free to contact us at 2084-9000 or eservices@sshsb.com.my. Okay, thank you. So I shall stop sharing my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chua and Ms. Yao, for that presentation. I think, do anyone want to take any questions? We are kind of running out of time. Thank you, Ms. Yao, for actually doing the frequently asked questions as well. I think it answers a lot of questions in people's minds. What about Mr. Deva? Is there any particular questions you want to take, or we can actually upload the Q&A with the video on our YouTube channel, if that is okay with Mr. Deva and Ms. Chua and Ms. Yao?
Some questions can be highlighted. I'm prepared to take them.
Okay. Let me just have a quick look at the thing. Okay. So just one very quick. I think this is the question that has been asked. Will virtual AGMs continue even after the COVID-19 pandemic is over? I think this is always the question that is being asked.
Shall I take that?
Yes, please.
Okay. There is a possibility that virtual AGMs will continue after the pandemic. Of course, from the MSWG's perspective, we prefer physical AGMs because we go on the premise that virtual AGMs were made necessary because of the pandemic, because of the movement control order, and because of the need to not physically mingle. As I shared with you all earlier, physical AGMs are ideal for shareholder activism. In fact, the gold standard in the Code of Corporate Governance is the hybrid AGM, both physical and a bit of virtual. Sure, it'll cost more, but that is the gold standard. The Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance did not envisage virtual AGM as the best practice. Unfortunately, we have been thrust into it. We hope that going forward, after the pandemic, things will return to either physical AGM or a hybrid AGM.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Deva. Okay. I think, sorry, everyone, but I think we are really running out of time. So thank you everyone for joining us. I would like to thank our speakers, Mr. Deva and Ms. Chua and also Ms. Yao for participating, and hope to see everyone again soon. Take care and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. See you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.